Hello everyone, my name is Kaku and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for today, I decided that I wanted to discuss the topic of the Jezebel trope that can be found in American cinema. Now, like most things that affect Black people in North America, the Jezebel trope is a direct correlation to slavery. During this time, white men would have affairs with the Black women who were their slaves. Because of this, white men came up with this idea that Black women were inherently sexually lewd, and this was something that was just in our nature, which is why it made them feel okay to do all of these horrendous acts. And it also predates to when European colonizers went to the African continent and saw that the way Africans dressed was not fully clothed or partially clothed, as some tribes still to this day do dress in this manner. They assumed that this meant that they were overtly sexual, which is not the case. The way that Black women were overtly sexualized during the time of slavery and after directly correlates with the first representation of a Black woman in American cinema. In the film Birth of a Nation, which came out in 1915, Lydia Brown was a mulatto woman, meaning mixed. She was the mistress of Senator Stoneman, one of the other characters in the film. As you can see, Lydia was played by a white woman in blackface, as this was the norm at this time, and with her character beat, she's very much mischievous, lewd, savage, overtly sexual, which is very much a representation of how Black women were viewed at this time. And, like I further explained, the way that Black women were viewed by white Europeans during the time of slavery and after, she very much was represented in this kind of light, in this role. Since at this time in Hollywood, Black people were only portrayed through blackface, there wasn't many roles for actual Black women to be in early Hollywood films. It wasn't until the 1970s when the popularization of Blaxploitation films came to light. This is an exciting time in Hollywood, as this is one of the first times that Black actors had the opportunity to play roles other than the typical maids and butlers or the jolly ho singing character type that you would often find in musicals. So this was a time for them to fledge out their acting muscles and to be more than just subservient to white people on film. So it was definitely something that the Black community responded well to, because they were excited to see themselves in cool action type movies. And a lot of these films also resisted to police corruption and allowed them to be free individuals. One of the most notable actresses from the Blaxploitation era is Grier. She had many films that showed her being a very statuesque, strong Black woman who had very intense sex appeal, and she sometimes would use this sex appeal to get what her character needed in the story. Now, many of the characters that Grier played during this time were very sure of themselves, knew how to get what they want, whether through violence or persuasion. But sex appeal was a very big part of their characters as well, whether through dressing, the way the camera showed their body, and the way that they interacted with men in their surroundings, which is exemplary of all female characters during the Blaxploitation era and followed Black women in their roles after. One of the most famous examples of this trope is Halle Berry's role as Letitia Musgrove in the Oscar-winning 2001 film Monsters Ball. Now, Halle's role of Letitia is a woman who has experienced a lot of loss in her life. Her husband was executed by the state, and her son is no longer with her, and she falls in love with a state executioner who also happens to be racist. And she finds out later in the film that he was responsible for the killing of her husband, but at that point they had already been intertwined in a sexual relationship, which actually was one of the most graphic sex scenes in American cinema in history, and people really did not like that happened to be with a Black woman on the screen. The Jezebel trope replaced the mammy caricature that Black women were forced to deal with during the early times of cinema. It replaced another harmful stereotype that has long been affecting the way Black women are treated, not only in cinema but also in everyday life. It's really important that when we dissect the way that media represents Black women, that we talk about the way that these harmful stereotypes that are portrayed on screen correlate to the way that we are viewed off screen in our everyday life, whether it is with our own personal relationships, in jobs and with strangers that see us through our everyday lives. I just want to say that everything that I spoke about in this video today was found through a really great resource that I found online when I was researching this topic from Ferris State University. They did a really great article on the Jezebel story type where they really go more in depth than the things that I spoke about today. So if you would like to research this topic more for yourself, you can do so in the link that I will leave in the description below. I have resources of social justice links that you can look into, petitions, and also organizations that, if you have the means to do so, that you can donate to, that support Black people, Black trans lives, because all Black lives matter. I will also leave my social media down there as well, so you can follow my Twitter and Instagram. And if you have any questions about today's video or any topics that you would like me to discuss in the future, please leave those in the comments below. I hope you all have a lovely day and are staying safe and healthy, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.